Real quick, before we start, I need you to answer something honestly. If someone told you that playing video games could reduce your anxiety, sharpen your focus, help you make friends, and literally slow down cognitive aging, would you believe them?
Or would you do what every boomer in your life does and say, you're rotting your brain?
Because here's the thing, the science is in, the data is stacking up, and we're about to blow up every bad take your parents ever threw at you.
Grab a cup, settle in, got a story, where to begin? Heard a rumor, is it true? Let's get baited, me and you. Oh, it's coffee baited, freshly brewed and overstated. Silly thoughts and bad ideas. Pour another cup of cheers.
Hello, caffeine crew. Welcome back to Coffee Baited, the podcast where we spill the coffee and get into the stuff nobody's really talking about. I'm Bubbles.
I'm Ryder, and I've already had 3 cups today, so buckle up.
We have mango too, obviously.
Squawk, 3 cups, and still mediocre.
Mango, my guy. I will cover your cage.
Okay, so today's topic. We are talking about gaming. Specifically, the actual, real, research-backed benefits of playing video games.
Which is a sentence I could have only dreamed of saying in 2004, when my mom was yanking the Game Boy out of my hands during a road trip.
Oh, don't even. I once hid my DS under my pillow so I could play after lights out, and I fell asleep mid-game and woke up with a stylus imprint on my cheek.
That's a war wound, Bubbles. That's a war wound.
But for real, gaming gets a bad rap. And today, we're here to reframe it. Because whether you play casually, competitively, alone, or with your whole squad, there's something in this episode for you.
We're covering mental health, focus, social connection, when it helps, when it hurts, all of it. So pour yourself something, get comfortable, and let's go.
Okay, so, Ryder, first question. When did gaming actually feel like it was doing something good for you? Like a specific memory?
Honestly, right after my parents split, I was like 12. And I just disappeared into World of Warcraft for an entire summer. And at the time, everyone was worried about me, like, Ryder's not leaving the house. But what nobody realized was, inside that game, I had a guild. I had a role. People were counting on me. I felt like I mattered somewhere.
Okay, that actually hits. Because it wasn't escapism in a bad way. It was like structure when everything else was chaos.
Exactly. It gave me a social world when my real one felt like it was collapsing. And I didn't have the vocabulary for that at 12. But now I get it.
Mine is less deep, but equally real. So I went through this period where I had really bad anxiety. Like the kind where you overthink everything and you're just constantly in your own head.
Oh, I know that spiral.
And someone, I don't even remember who, told me to try Stardew Valley. And I was like, a farm game? That's gonna fix my anxiety? Sure, Jan.
The most wholesome game ever made.
And I played it one night when I couldn't sleep. And within like 30 minutes, I was completely calm because my brain had one job: water the crops, talk to the villagers, go to sleep by 10 p.m. in-game. That's it. There was no catastrophizing. There was just do the thing.
So it basically gave your anxiety brain a redirect.
A complete redirect. And I slept that night for the first time in like a week.
Okay, and this is where I need to rant for a second. Because there is this massive cultural hypocrisy around gaming. Nobody walks up to someone reading a novel for 4 hours and says, "You're addicted to books." Nobody tells someone they've been binge watching Netflix for 6 hours straight to go touch grass. But the second you're holding a controller, suddenly you're a basement-dwelling zombie with no future.
Right? Like, the stigma is so specific to gaming, and it has never made sense to me.
It's classist, honestly. Reading was for the educated elite for centuries. TV became acceptable once every household had one. Gaming is still in that transition phase, where it hasn't been fully legitimized by older generations. But it will be. Give it 10 years.
That's actually a really good point. Like, legitimacy follows adoption.
Squawk! Meanwhile, Grandma's been on Candy Crush for 6 years.
Mango. You can't just say that and walk away.
He's not wrong, though. The biggest casual gaming demographic right now is women over 45. So, like, who exactly are we protecting from screens?
All right, let's get into the actual research, because I am not just throwing opinions at you today. There is real science behind what gaming does to your brain.
And some of it is genuinely surprising. Like, we knew anecdotally that gaming felt good, but the why is where it gets interesting.
So first, action games. Your Call of Duties, your Apex Legends, your Halo. Studies, multiple, peer-reviewed, show that playing action games improves your ability to track multiple objects at once, make faster decisions under pressure, and process visual information more efficiently.
Which is essentially what surgeons need to do. And guess what? There are actual studies where surgeons who play video games perform better in laparoscopic procedures than those who don't.
So the doctor operating on you, you want them to have a high kill-death ratio. That's the world we live in.
Please do not tell my dad that, or he will finally pick up a controller.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Puzzle games. Your Portal, your Tetris, your Minesweeper if you're retro. Those train working memory, spatial reasoning, and pattern recognition.
And those are the exact skills that decline as we age, right?
Exactly. There's research out of the University of California that found regular gaming in older adults, we're talking 60 plus, can slow cognitive decline measurably. Like the same way physical exercise protects your body, mentally stimulating games protect your brain.
That makes me want to set up a gaming station for my Lola. Like, genuinely.
And you should, because the social angle for elderly players is massive too. Isolation is one of the biggest health risks for seniors. And multiplayer games, even simple ones, give them a reason to connect, to communicate, to feel like part of something.
There's this story I read about a grandfather who started playing Minecraft with his grandkids, and they lived in different countries. And that game became their hangout spot, their inside jokes, their shared world. And he said it was the closest he'd felt to them in years.
That hits different when you think about how much time people spend waiting for the right moment to connect with family. And these kids and their grandpa just built a house together in a block game and found it.
Okay, but let's talk about mental health more specifically, because I think this is where gaming gets the most complicated press.
Right, because on one hand, you have studies showing gaming reduces cortisol, that's your stress hormone, and increases dopamine in a way that can genuinely help people manage anxiety and depression symptoms, especially in conjunction with treatment.
And on the other hand, you have people using gaming to completely avoid dealing with anything, which isn't the game's fault, but it's a real pattern.
It's the same conversation we have with social media, with food, with exercise even. The thing isn't inherently harmful. The relationship you have with it is what matters.
Squawk? Sounds like therapy, which you also avoid.
Mango is canceled. Somebody get me a blanket.
He literally said what everyone's thinking. Can we address the gaming addiction conversation? Because the WHO classifying gaming disorder in 2018 sent the media into a full spiral. Suddenly, every parent was convinced their kid was an addict because they didn't want to stop playing Fortnite.
And the nuance that got lost is gaming disorder, as defined clinically, is extremely specific. It requires that gaming takes priority over all other life activities, continues despite negative consequences, and significantly impairs daily functioning for at least 12 months. That is not your average 12-year-old who gets upset when you turn off the Xbox.
Right. My kid really likes playing games, and my kid has a clinically diagnosable disorder are not the same sentence. And treating them the same does real damage to the kid's trust, to the relationship, and to their ability to develop a healthy relationship with leisure.
You know what's actually addictive? The design of certain games. The loot boxes, the battle passes, the daily login bonuses engineered to create compulsive return behavior. That's the conversation, not games are bad.
The game isn't the problem. The monetization mechanics designed by people who studied behavioral psychology to keep you spending. That's the thing worth interrogating. Okay, I want to slow down for a second, because I think there's something we haven't said yet that needs to be said.
Yeah, go for it.
There's a version of this conversation that's all, gaming is great, gaming is healthy, game more. And I don't want to be that, because I've also been the person who used gaming to hide.
What do you mean?
Like, there was a period where every time something hard happened, I just logged on, didn't process it, didn't talk to anyone, just went somewhere else for 6 hours. And technically I was just gaming, but functionally I was disappearing. And nobody around me called it what it was because there was no obvious substance involved, no clear sign of trouble.
Because it looked productive, or at least neutral.
Exactly. And the tricky thing about using anything, gaming, food, work, exercise, to avoid emotions is that it works. Like, it genuinely works in the short term. You feel better. The thing gets suppressed. And so your brain learns, when painful thing happens, do the other thing. And you build this pattern without even realizing it.
I think the question worth asking yourself is, are you gaming because it adds something? Or because it removes something you don't want to feel?
And there's no shame in either, by the way. Sometimes you need to remove something for a few hours. That's okay. The problem is when it becomes the only tool in the box.
All right, I want to flip this around and talk about the social piece, because I think this is the underrated story in gaming.
Oh yes, because when people picture a gamer, they still often picture someone alone in a dark room.
Which is so outdated, because the data says that the majority of gamers play with others. And online gaming communities have become genuinely meaningful social infrastructure for people who don't have easy access to in-person connection.
People with social anxiety, people in rural areas, people who are immunocompromised, people who just moved to a new city and don't know anyone. Gaming gives them a table to sit at.
And I will die on the hill that online friendships are real friendships. I have friends I met in a game lobby 12 years ago who I still talk to. We've met in person, we've supported each other through actual life stuff. The fact that our friendship started because we were both bad at Halo doesn't make it less real.
We bonded over dying repeatedly is a very specific but very valid origin story.
And for kids, this is crucial. The social skills you build in co-op games, in team-based games, communication, coordination, reading social cues, learning to lose gracefully, learning to lead, those transfer. They're not game skills, they're life skills.
And for kids who struggle socially in school, who don't fit in the hallways or at lunch, a gaming team can be the first place they feel like they belong. And belonging is not a small thing. Belonging is everything when you're a kid. Okay, so let's get practical, because we've talked a lot about the research and the feelings, but let's actually give people something to walk away with.
Yeah, and none of this is going to be game exactly 1 hour a day and meditate after. Nobody wants that.
Right, we're not doing a wellness blog. Let's talk like actual humans.
Okay, so first thing, game with intention, not just by default. What I mean is, there's a difference between sitting down because you want to play something and sitting down because you don't know what else to do and the controller is there. One is a choice. One is a drift. Start noticing which one you're doing.
That's huge. And it doesn't mean you need a reason every time. It just means being a little bit conscious about it. Like, are you doing this because it's genuinely what you want right now? Or are you doing it because you're avoiding something?
Second, match the game to what you actually need. Not every game does the same thing for your brain. If you're overstimulated and anxious, a fast-paced shooter might make it worse. That's when you want something slow and structured. A cozy game, a puzzle, a simulation. If you're understimulated and bored, something with a challenge or a story might be exactly right.
Your gaming library is basically a mood board. Learn to read it.
Third, and this one's for the parents in the room, stop asking how long and start asking what. 45 minutes of a single-player narrative game where your kid is making decisions and following a story is a completely different experience than 2 hours of an algorithmically designed mobile game with push notifications. Duration is not the whole story.
Have conversations about what they're playing. Ask them to show you, because when a parent shows genuine interest, not "I'm monitoring you" interest, but "I'm actually curious" interest, it completely changes the dynamic.
Fourth, if gaming is your main social outlet, that's worth examining. Not judging, just examining. Not because online friendships aren't real, but because variety and connection matters. Can you find a way to game with someone in person sometimes? A local community, a friend group, a family night?
Because the combination of shared experience plus physical presence is still something that online can't fully replicate. And you deserve both.
And finally, if you're using gaming to manage something genuinely difficult, anxiety, depression, grief, loneliness, that's not shameful, but it's also not the whole toolkit. Use it, and also build other tools alongside it. Talk to someone if you can. Move your body sometimes. Gaming is a support beam, not the whole house.
That's actually a beautiful way to put it. A support beam, not the whole house.
Squawk? Support beam, just like Ryder's hairline.
I genuinely do not know why we keep that bird.
He says what we're thinking. You know this. Okay, Coffee Baited fam, we are wrapping up, and I feel good about this one.
Same. I think this episode needed to exist. Because gaming has been misunderstood for so long, and the conversation is finally starting to catch up with reality.
So if you walked away with nothing else, walk away with this. The thing you love doing, it's probably doing more for you than you've been given credit for. And the things people told you were a waste of time, maybe they just didn't understand what you were getting from them.
And for anyone who's been made to feel guilty for gaming, for zoning out, for spending your off hours in a world that made you feel good, you're allowed to enjoy things. You don't owe anyone an apology for that.
Unless you're the person who teen kills on purpose, you owe everyone an apology.
Non-negotiable. Immediate apology, no exceptions.
Squawk? I've seen your kill stats, Ryder. Glass houses.
Okay, I'm done. Caffeine Crew, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. If this episode gave you something to think about, if it made you laugh, if it made you feel seen, share it, like it, subscribe, leave us a review. It genuinely helps us reach more people. And if you want to help us keep the lights on and the coffee flowing, we have a support page, a direct way to back the show. Link is in the description. Every contribution keeps us making episodes like this one, and we do not take that lightly.
We'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves, drink water, touch grass occasionally, and game on.
Game on.
Squawk? Finally! I've been holding that last one-liner for 20 minutes.